We all know that billionaires are judged by a total different standard than the rest of us here in the United States of America. I mean, even millionaires, they don't get the freedom and liberty to gad about abroad and do whatever they want. I said that because we all, some of us that follow sports, I follow from a distance. Robert Kraft, the owner of the New England Patriots, we all know that he was at a massage parlor, and he was there, at least what the police alleged and said, that he was there soliciting prostitutions or soliciting prostitutes. And they got video evidence and everything else. But watch this. That's why I keep telling you that these are some kangaroo courts. The fix is in. Because yesterday on CNNBC again reported, look at this, quote unquote, big win for Robert Kraft. Judge bars massage parlor video from use at prostitution solicitation trial of Patriots owner. Do we all really truly believe that we have a fair court system in this country that doesn't discriminate? I mean, really, let's think about this for a second. Do we really truly believe that? Huh? I mean, let's go ahead and read this for a second, all right? A Florida judge on Monday handed the New England Patriots owner Robert Kraft a major victory and barred prosecutors from using as evidence video they say show Kraft getting sexually serviced in successive days inside a Florida massage parlor. The videos are the key and potentially only pieces of evidence that Palm Beach County prosecutors have against Kraft to sustain their charges for soliciting prostitution. The judge also suppressed information that was gathered when a police officer stopped Kraft's vehicle in January because the evidence had been collected based on the warrant he deemed unlawful. Before an officer had stopped this car, the law enforcement hadn't identified the man in the video as Kraft. Judge Leonard Hasner agreed with arguments by Kraft's high-powered legal team. I wonder how did they get these titles, high-powered legal teams? I mean, what's the difference between their lawyer and these particular attorneys? I'll tell you exactly what it is that determines who are high-powered based on the amount of moolah, money that you have. Judge Leonard Hasner agreed with arguments by Kraft's high-powered legal team that Kraft had an expectation of privacy when he went to the Orchards of Asia's Day Spa in Jupiter. The court finds it clear that he had a reasonable subjective expectation of privacy. All right, so let's stop. Let's stop there for a second, because when I read something like this, that means it goes in every aspect of life. You know, it's amazing that in this country right here, adultery is not a prosecutable, how do you say this? Crime, breaking the law. Adultery. And yet for those of us who are conservative and those of us who believe the Bible, the scriptures, we know that the fine for adultery used to be death. And of course now in this country, you can be married after the state, meaning that the state is the one who married you, not God, but the state, because you have the state marriage license. And I realize I'm digressing, but I'm using this as an educational tool for you. to let you see exactly what's going on. Because see, if I don't submit these type of thoughts into your mind, these words right here, you'd never even know. You just go along with the system and flow and never even know what hit you. But a woman could go out and commit adultery, a married woman. And mind you, I'm going to add this in there too as a bonus. Only a married woman can commit adultery. A man can only commit adultery if he is sleeping or laying with a married woman. All right. But if we believe the Bible, the fine for adultery was for the adulterer and adulteress, death. But in this country, of course, now it's divorce. But in this country, a woman can go out, commit adultery, not only commit adultery, but she can have babies while married to her husband and end up with 3 different children, and this guy believing that these are his children. And if she decides to get a divorce, the courts side with the woman, and that man is saddled with paying child support for another man's children. So now let me get this right. All right. So with this type of system of law, and they're citing right here that he had an expectation of privacy, and according to law, they are, I guess they're right now. I know it doesn't have anything to do with a value system or morality. But so that means that anybody, whatever sexual preference you choose, you have an expectation of privacy that cannot be prosecuted based on the laws of the United States of America. That's why it amazes me. Why do people go out here and get all in a hissy fit? If a man goes out here and have, I'm going to show you the standard of this country. If a man has more than one wife, they go stark raving mad and crazy. Watch this. Let me contrast that. But if a man has 3 or 4 women and he has 2 or 3 children by each one of those women, and they don't have a state marriage license, because if you have more than one, it's bigamy. But let's just say that he's just a pimp. Let's just say he's just a gangster. Let's just say he's just a player. All right. And he goes out here and he has 3 or 4 children, or 2 children by 4 or 5 different women. Nobody says nothing. The silence is deafening. Is that not hypocritical? So let me go on to say this. In lieu of light of the education I just got finished giving you, especially those of you that have a promiscuous lifestyle and you go and cheat and sleep around and stuff like this. I guess in this country now, everybody has an expectation of privacy. So the court finds it clear that he had a reasonable subjective expectation of privacy, as would anyone seeking a private massage in a commercial or professional setting, and that the activity in the room would remain private, Judge Leonard Hassner said in his ruling. Now think about this for a second. You know how many people that has been prosecuted because of going to places like this? But then all of a sudden a billionaire does the same thing. All of a sudden they pull these laws out their ass. And the judge rules in favor of, and all before then nobody else is ruling like that. It's utterly amazing. Hassner went on to elaborate that video surveillance of the lobby and front desk are acceptable as they are public areas of the spa, where a client would have a very low expectation of privacy. Hassner also put forth the argument that the search warrant did little to minimize the impact of the video surveillance on female clients. Given that the assertions of illegal activity in the warrant only describes acts performed on males, well, I bet the feminists going to have a field day on that one. The judge asserted that there were not enough guidelines given to those monitoring the surveillance around how to limit the viewings of the recordings, especially in regard to those not committed or not committing illegal acts. Kraft is one of 24 men charged in similar cases tied to the spa. Among them, John Paul Havens, a former president of Citigroup. Havens has pleaded not guilty, according to his lawyer, Bruce Zimmett. Kraft pleaded not guilty on 2 counts of soliciting prostitution. This ruling could have huge implications for the pending cases and could cripple the prosecution's case against other men charged in the case. It was not immediately clear whether prosecutors planned to appeal this ruling. A representative for the state's attorney said Florida will be reviewing the judge's order at this point. So we got to ask ourselves, are these judges God? Are they the ones who determine values and morality? Now, don't get me wrong. I don't have a dog in this race. My personal opinion is Robert Kraft, go do what you want to do. And you're going to go do what you want to do too. My understanding of law is as long as you don't harm nobody and as long as that there is consent, why even have an opinion about it? You understand what I mean? I report this simply because of the double standard from those who have a lot of money to those who have no money. You won't believe the standard's just off the chain. See, that's what's disturbing to me. Don't sit up and tell me we have equality in a country when we have nothing but double standards all the way across the board.